So remember this. What can help you buy the home you really want? Rocket can. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET. That's rocketmortgage.com or call 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information appraisal and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
The holiday season, a time of thanks and giving, but the charities trying to help are facing higher demand and inflation.
This time of year, the lack of food or warmth or family is always more keenly felt. But the pandemic has created an economic chain reaction, bringing even more hardship. Food banks across the country are struggling to provide meals and supplies to an ever-growing number of people who are feeling the economic pinch. Supply chain disruptions, transportation shortages, lower inventories at manufacturers, labor shortages, all have resulted in increased costs, decreased stock, and delayed deliveries for charitable food organizations.
Fox's Lauren Green, the nation's largest hunger relief charity, Feeding America, says its food banks are seeing prices 2 to 3 times higher than just 9 months ago. A wind farm off the coast of Rhode Island gets a green light from the Biden administration. It's the second commercial scale offshore wind project approved in the U.S. after last week's groundbreaking for the first off the coast of Massachusetts. A dark fantasy series comes out swinging.
The Dark One is waking.
Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time has showed up strong for the streaming service. The series adaptation of Robert Jordan's best-selling fantasy novels has topped all of Amazon's series launches this year. Amazon Studios head Jennifer Salke told Deadline, "We can firmly say that Wheel of Time was the most watched series premiere of the year and one of the top 5 series launches of all time for Prime Video." Without giving exact numbers, Salke added it also had a strong showing on social media. Parrot Analytics earlier this month released data showing it's also outpacing Netflix's The Witcher series. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Stocks finished mixed ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday on Wall Street. The Dow down 9 points, but the S&P and the Nasdaq end higher. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Clouds will be decreasing throughout the evening hours with north winds around 10 to 20 gusting to 30, producing wind chill values below 0. Into the overnight hours, we'll have clear conditions and temperatures will drop down to a low of 6 with winds lightening up out of the northwest around 5 to 15. The winds turn to the southeast on Thursday. It'll be mostly sunny with 5 to 15 mile per hour winds, a high of 24 and then mid-30s on Friday. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Happy holidays from a cutting edge. How would you like to save thousands of dollars on a diamond? And how about saving hundreds and maybe thousands on a mounting? Well, now you can do it at a cutting edge. We've combined our diamond sale with our great mounting sale. For the first time ever, you can save more money than you ever could before at a cutting edge gallery of jewelry. So if you want the biggest, whitest, brightest diamond, no matter what your budget, come to a cutting edge, 4507 33rd Avenue South, Fargo.
One more time, got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate and dance so free. One more time, this got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate.
The Chris Berg Show, where faith and freedom reign.
One more time.
Your gas prices are up. Your turkey prices are up. I saw 11.9% turkeys up this year. Your gravy's up. Everything is going up. So the question today is, what are you going to do to hedge against it? What do you do to hedge against this inflation? I want you to think about that for a moment because, look, when you go out and gas is almost up 50%, and we've talked about this before, if you're making $30,000, $40,000 a year and gas goes from $1.85 to $3.50, that takes out a big chunk of your disposable income. And you're like, okay, now what do I do here? I remember growing up, I've told you this before, my mom had days where she'd have to look at my fat little chubby face and be like, okay, do I put food in this kid's mouth or do I put gas in the car so I can go to work? Some of you are making those kind of decisions right now based on where these prices are going. So when you start to think about that way, you go, so what do I do to hedge against this inflation? We're going to talk about that today. And of course, much, much more as we head into this holiday weekend. Happy early Thanksgiving. Welcome to the Chris Berg Show, coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. As you're driving home today, maybe getting ready to head out for the holidays, Be sure and stop into your local PetroServe USA and pick up some gas and some delicious goodies. Before we get into the hedge, because it is this weekend of heading into Thanksgiving, and we've talked about it's just a week of gratitude. It is a week of gratitude. Hopefully you spend your life in gratitude, but clearly this week is one week you want to just be thinking about, what am I most grateful for? So if you don't mind, as you listen to my voice right now, whether you're driving, it might be in your office, wherever you are, just ask yourself that question. What are you most grateful for in your life right now? And the reality is, because I've been there before, there might be some of you ask you that question and you go, yeah, Berg, you know what? I ain't got nothing to be grateful for. Life is rough right now. I've been going through this COVID deal. My job's asking me to take the jab. I don't want to do that. I mean, it can, we see the mental health problems. We see the overdose problems, the overdose death. It can be rough for some people out there. So if your answer was nothing, nada, then just ask yourself, okay, if I could be grateful for something other than the Chris Berg show, if you could be grateful for something, what would that be? Take a moment to think about that. And then we want to start with some fun today as we go through this inflation conversation and some different ways that you can do, or things that you, how do I say this? Some things that you can think about to hedge against inflation. I've been saying all week, one of the things we're going to dive into in the show today is we're going to start talking about kind of a cryptocurrency 101. I know everybody out there sort of about Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto. I mean, it's on the tips of the tongues of a lot of people out there these days. So we want to dive into that. And let me just be clear, this is not a financial investment conversation. Okay. There is zero financial investment advice going on the show today. This is just simply an opportunity for you as you hear about crypto and wallets and all this kind of stuff to ask questions. We're going to bring in a couple of very special guests here coming up in just a few moments. So if you want to ask questions, just learn about what is this space? What does it mean for you and your family? And is it a thing you want to use to possibly hedge against this unbelievable inflation that's going on? For example, right before the show, I was talking to our great producer today. We call him D Money. And I was like, hey, I don't know, are you into crypto or not? He's like, I don't know, man. He pulls out his wallet. He goes, hey, can I spend or buy crypto with what I have in this wallet? I said, well, you could if you had a crypto.com Visa card. But he's like, I don't have one of those. So we'll get into all that as basic as you want to get into. And I've got some really exciting news about crypto in North Dakota. And I want to go through some of this stuff to sort of get us there towards the end of this segment to set this whole thing up. So I said a moment ago, turkey's up, gravy's up, everything is up right now. And so when you think about prices being up, you're heading into Thanksgiving. When you think about Thanksgiving and food, what's the first thing you think about? It's turkey. I mean, that is the absolute epitome of a Thanksgiving dinner is turkey. So in order to not hurt Joe Biden's feelings and to help him in the polls, what does the fake news media NBC do? They suggest this.
And while we are on the topic of something that could be controversial, perhaps forego the turkey. Bear with me. Ooh. I know that is the staple of the Thanksgiving meal. However, some people think turkey is overrated. And so it tends to be the most expensive thing on the table. Maybe you do an Italian feast instead. And I will say this, if you tell everyone you're having a Thanksgiving without turkey, some guests may drop off the list, and that's a way to cut costs too.
Okay, folks, rather than, getting creative or what do they suggest to you so you don't have Joe Biden feel bad? Just get rid of the turkey. And here's the other great thing is then some people might just fall off the list. They might not even show up at your house. Here's another insane thing that people are talking about, in my opinion, for Thanksgiving holidays is there are conversations. I know this is it's going to sound like a Babylon Bee, like satirical thing, and it probably is. But some people are actually asking the question like, okay, so who's going to be the bouncers at your house? Prices are up and everything. Who are you going to hire to be your bouncers at your house for Thanksgiving? And some of you are going, Berg, what are you talking about? Bouncers at my house for Thanksgiving? Yes, they are suggesting that you're going to need somebody at your house. Obviously, they're using the term bouncers loosely, but somebody at your house that's going to make sure that you are checking the vaccination status of your guests. Did you get the shot? Nope. Oh, sorry. You can't come in. Did you get the shot? Yep. Oh, okay. Come on in. You're welcome. You're welcome. If you're going to listen to Fauci, Governor Walz, people like that, you may need to hire bouncers. You may need to hire bouncers for Thanksgiving to put them at their door just so they can vet. It'll be like TSA at your house, right? It'll be like TSA, and you can just, they can sit there and go, can you show me your papers, please? Please show me your papers. And I say this in jest, but I've got a friend of mine whose daughter was going to go see her dad. Now, her dad just had a, open heart surgery. And so he obviously could be susceptible to COVID. But get this, this daughter was around people with COVID. Didn't get a positive test for COVID. It was just around people with COVID. And the dad's doctor told him, do not see your daughter. It's too risky. Now, from a medical perspective, that might be true based on, his surgical procedure. And yet from the standpoint, folks, just think about, you've got a person, a doctor telling you, just because your daughter, who you love, your daughter was simply around people with COVID, didn't even get it. Your doctor's telling you, no, don't even see your own kin, your own daughter for Thanksgiving. Now, again, I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not an MD. That may be the best advice in the world for this person. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you've got MDs now suggesting to not even be around your own kin. Not even because they contracted it, just because they were around it. That seems a little bit overbearing to me. Okay, so let's get into what we've been talking about here on this show. And as you know, we talk about the Chris Berg Show being your oasis of freedom. This is where you and I can come to be free, to maximize the freedom in our lives. And we've talked about kind of these three pinnacles of freedom that you and I are going to be focusing on. And that would be financial freedom, health freedom, and education freedom. And so when you start thinking about financial freedom for you and your family, that can look different for everybody. And for many people, as you see the cost of goods going up and we can't get things inside of our borders and things of that nature, this inflation deal is a very, very big deal if it continues to spin out of control, which it is going to if it's up to President Joe Biden. I mean, it can be a very, very big deal. So I want to play a quick clip for you just to sort of set some context here about what is inflation. This is a guy by the name of Tom Ballou. He does an incredible podcast, and this is with a guy by the name of Robert Breedlove, who's got a great podcast called What is Money? What is Money? So I'm going to play a little bit of this, and then I'm going to tie this back into North Dakota, because if you haven't heard the news, there is a company that actually just filed yesterday to be public on the NASDAQ called Applied Blockchain that put a huge, huge crypto mining data center just outside of Jamestown. I'm going to share with you a little bit about from him as well. But first, what is inflation?
Theft, because I had mistaken it for a fundamental problem.
Let me just back up here a second for you.
And then you hear the phrase from you, which stopped me in my tracks, which is inflation is theft. And it didn't make sense. Like, it wasn't that I disagreed. It was that I couldn't make the sentence make sense. And I realized that I always thought of inflation, and we're going to get to answering the question around what is money, why Bitcoin is useful, all of that. But to me, to attack that head on doesn't work as well as talking about why inflation is theft, because I had mistaken it for a fundamental property of nature. I just never thought beyond that inflation exists, and it's roughly 2% a year, and that is what it is. And then I encountered Michael Saylor and him talking about hyperinflation. I was like, wait a second, what? Because I literally told my money manager, I want to be as close to my money buried in the backyard as humanly possible during COVID, right? Because I didn't know where that was going to leave us. Why is inflation theft? And maybe what is inflation?
Yeah, it's I don't think you should feel bad not understanding it at the outset. I actually have argued in some of my writing that it's a euphemism. You know, the idea of economic inflation sounds wonderful. You want your house to become more valuable. You want your portfolio to appreciate. You want things in general to go up in dollar value. How they actually do that, though, is very important. You want them to be value producing assets. Inflation, though, and this is a word that really gets twisted because it's got a lot of different meanings. Do you mean price inflation? Do you mean inflation of the money supply? And the way, when I use the term inflation, I like to refer specifically to arbitrary increases in the supply of fiat currency. So what's happening in that instance is that the actual unit of perception we're using to value assets, the dollar, is being diminished. So
and fiat currency, for people that don't know, is just money backed by the government.
Fiat currency, the word fiat means by decree. So this pretty much means because I said so under the veiled threat of force. And yeah, it is, this gets a little bit deeper into the history of money, but the dollar originally was issued to make gold, which was money selected by the free market, more convenient, to make it more portable, make it more.
And then we all know what happened in 1971. Our president, Richard Nixon, was like, hey, you know what? We're no longer going to have gold back our currency. And now you've got a Federal Reserve that fairly arbitrarily can just go and dilute your currency. In other words, they can dilute your dollar. And that is why, as you look at what's happening right now in our nation, it is a big, big problem. Thus, why we say inflation is theft. These people in D.C., the Federal Reserve, as they continue to print more and more dollars, are stealing the value of the ones you currently have in your wallet, in your pocket, thus diminishing your spending power. Now, how does all this tie into cryptocurrency? We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to share with you a couple of special guests are going to join us. Plus, I'm going to set it up with this company, Applied Blockchain, making a major, major investment in the Jamestown community. And you're going to hear from the CEO himself on why did they choose to make this kind of investment in the great state of North Dakota. One last thing I'll share with you. I spoke to a professor at Jamestown today, because if you remember, we had Polly Peterson on, and she said, yeah, we had a class on crypto at school. So I talked to that professor, and he goes, Chris, here's the deal. We had such a demand for students wanting to learn about crypto that we now have to have another class and another class. So it's going to be fascinating to see where it all goes. Stay with us. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100.
The only thing there is to say, every silver lining's got a touch of gray.
Menard's Enchanted Forest has been a Christmas tradition for over 60 years. We invite the whole family to come take a stroll and find everything you need to deck the halls. Find that perfect tree to display your ornaments, ribbons, garland, and tree toppers. Create a warm and cozy space with decorative accents and hanging decor. Find it all at Menard's Enchanted Forest.
Warm season's greetings to you all from Menards.
Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Ford Auto Care, is here. Matthew, it's fall. People get busy. What are some things people need to know as we get closer to cold weather?
Well, the first thing, as always, you want to make sure you're staying on top of your maintenance, that you're having your car inspected to make sure that your tires are good, your battery's good. But this year, it's a little bit different. If you're thinking you want to get tires before winter, tire prices are going up for some manufacturers significantly, and tire availability is not very good. So if you're looking at getting tires and you want to get the best possible deals, you want to get in as quick as possible and don't wait till the last minute, or the only ones that are going to be left are going to be the more expensive ones. We'll meet or beat all competitors' pricing, and we can get any brand tires you want.
Matthew, many of our listeners are parents that have students going to school, MSUM, Concordia, NDSU. What do you want them to know about those vehicles that need some work done?
Well, we know that it's really difficult for college students when they have transportation problems, but we really focus on communication. So we have the convenience of text-based estimates and payments, so that if a student brings their car in and the parent wants to know what's going on, wants to be able to see that, they can just text that to the parent. They can read it. The parents can approve it, and the parents can actually pay for it over their phone. We work hard to keep our shop safe and clean, and you can trust us to work on your car like it was our own kid's car.
And the College ID gets you $20 off oil change, too.
Every time.
Fix It Ford Auto Care, 2nd Avenue, Moorhead, 52nd Avenue, South Fargo. Their team is unique, trustworthy, driven to serve. You can get your vehicle worked on knowing you're helping others in need, too. Find out more online at fixitfordautocare.com, fixitfordautocare.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed. Also, the Army National Guard's education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association at this station.
I'm thankful for the friends around me. I'm thankful for you.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. We're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. We are talking today about cryptocurrency. I'm sure everybody out there has heard about Bitcoin and crypto. And often you're like, wait a second, what is this? And you hear about this blockchain stuff. And so I'm going to bring in a couple of very special guests here. Before I do, I wanted to share with you why this matters to us right here in our community. I mentioned before the break that Applied Blockchain, major company, they just applied to go public on the NASDAQ. They made a major data center investment here in North Dakota. The CEO was in town around Jamestown in September. I want to play a little bit for you about what he had to say about who they are and why they chose the great state of North Dakota.
You're really looking for three things. So you're looking for stable, low-cost power, and then you're looking for the right climate. And the right climate is almost the colder, the better. So like we're based in Texas, and a lot of people are building facilities in Texas, but it's hard in the summer. And cooling these facilities is very difficult, and so you spend extra power. And then the last thing is we want to be in a place that wants us. And North Dakota is very welcoming. They've passed laws that are, are friendly and tax incentives that are friendly for our type of business. And crypto mining really it refers to, operating the network. So the Bitcoin network could be Ethereum. We operate in Ethereum as well, but there's a lot of different networks you can operate in. And so what we want to be is kind of the picks and shovels. And so we're just going to host a lot of servers here on site, and they're going to operate on the network. And as I was talking about earlier, this facility, when it's up and running, should run, 2.5 to 3% of the global hash rate. And then we think we can expand this facility to 200 megawatts just on this site.
I don't even know what all that means. I just know that it gets me excited. So joining us today in studio, we've got Tony Mangal. He's got a crypto fund that he is putting together, also consulting people on crypto, as well as Hugh Benjamin. He is actually mining Bitcoin and doing some just incredible things with that. So Hugh, Tony, thanks so much for joining us here today, I think, in this very, very important conversation. Tony, I'm going to start with you since you're in studio. Just your assessment of what we broke down here in the open around inflation, crypto. How long have you been in it and why?
Well, I've been in the crypto space since about 2015, around $200 price point of Bitcoin.
Woo!
And
Can you just give the audience some context? Because now it's at what, 60?
It's hovering around 60K now. It's about 55, 56K today.
So you got in around $200 and now it's around 60,000.
Yeah.
You're a happy man, I assume?
So far it's working out. Pretty new technology. This is not financial advice. Let's just say that again. So I've been following this pretty closely since then. And, at first it didn't quite hit me what it was. I'd heard about Bitcoin from a few different sources, actually. And it took a while for the constellation of information that I had in my head to form a full picture of what it was that I was looking at. And when it finally hit me, it was like a spiritual awakening. And you'll often hear proselytizers like me, and I use that word specifically, talk about it like it's a spiritual thing. And let me just put this on the table and we can attack it from all angles. I think that cryptocurrency, and specifically Bitcoin, is the greatest tool, greatest technology we have to advance the cause of truth and liberty in the history of humankind. It's not just money. It's a truth engine. It's a tool to imprint something true onto an immutable blockchain for all time. Now, we use it for money, and that's a great tool. But if you can imprint information for good or ill, it doesn't have to just be money. It can be a lot of other things. So we won't go too far into it. I know I've said a lot out there. For the purposes of this conversation, let's just stick with Bitcoin and how it might help us do that.
So I want to get to the truth and justice piece, and then we're going to bring in Hugh. But you say the greatest tool for truth and justice. I've asked people about it, and they say, "Yeah, Chris, here's the problem with Bitcoin and cryptos. You've got a lot of nefarious players across the world, i.e., the people that hacked the pipeline in the United States were paid in crypto, and they're saying, hey, this is just an open door for bad people to make bad things happen."
Ugh, geez, you should see what they're doing with the US dollar out there. My God. Look, any new technology can be used for good or ill. And frankly, Bitcoin is not a great extortion tool because every Bitcoin transaction is imprinted on the blockchain that anybody can see for all time. And it doesn't take a lot of extra resources to tie, let's say, a Bitcoin wallet address to a specific phone IP address. And then you can find the people who are extorting you. Now, there are other cryptocurrencies out there, and the criminals are starting to move to those that are called privacy coins. Coins like Monero, Zcash, Dash, Pirate Chain. You'll start to see those used a lot more in nefarious ways. But, I mean, if we want to do a comparison by who's doing how much damage around the world with crypto versus the US dollar, I mean, there's no contest.
I think that's fair when you look at what the cartels are doing, obviously, with the U.S. dollar. And let's remind people that actually, I think it was the FBI or the feds ended up recovering the money that was spent on the crypto from the pipeline company to these people because, as you just mentioned, they could actually find it. So it's one thing to do what you're doing, which is predominantly making investments in Bitcoin and crypto. But now we've got a gentleman, Hugh Benjamin. Hugh, thanks so much for joining us here. He's out in Joshua Tree, California, just doing some amazing things in the mining of Bitcoin. So Hugh, for people that are new to this, which is a lot of us, give us the distinction between kind of what Tony's doing and what you're doing with the mining angle.
Sure, absolutely. So mining is where you purchase the equipment and you
One
have
second, Hugh. We are just working on getting your mic set up, my friend.
Oh,
Try
okay.
again, my buddy.
Yeah, so mining is where you're investing in the actual equipment
No,
you're
we
buying.
can't hear you. Chris Larson, can you help us out here? Hugh, try about now.
How about now? Testing.
Got you. Okay.
Okay,
Mining-
cool. Awesome. Yeah, so mining is where you actually are purchasing the mining equipment, and that has the computing power, what we call hash power, which I didn't understand when I first heard about this. And that's actually it computes and solves these equations on the blockchain that then generates a Bitcoin reward. And you also share in a piece of the transaction fees as well. Now, when I first heard about mining, I got started in mining roughly a little over 16 months ago, had no background in it. Somebody called me up and said, hey, do you want to get a machine that mines Bitcoin? I thought it sounded too good to be true. I'm like, do I need a shovel? Like, how do I get this Bitcoin? Like, is it real? This sounds like a tree that grows money. And I ended up getting myself a little machine. You know, I put money in enough that I could afford to lose because I had no idea what I was getting into. And then I just started seeing these daily deposits every day of Bitcoin. And so the difference between purchasing Bitcoin and mining Bitcoin would be like if you were to buy 2 Bitcoin right now, 2 Bitcoin would run you roughly about 120K US. But if you took the same 120 and you put it into Bitcoin mining equipment and electricity and hosting, then over a period of 5 years, you would see anywhere between probably 6 to 8 Bitcoin over a period of time. And it's really stupid simple. You know, you don't have to get emotional about the price of Bitcoin because when Bitcoin goes down in price as a miner, you actually acquire a lot more Bitcoin, even though it's a lesser value because the mining difficulty goes down. And I had to learn all this stuff. Initially, it was like Russian to me. I had no idea what anybody was saying around hash power of Bitcoin.
So you just read my mind because you use blockchain, both you and Tony have, and then you just use hash power. And I don't fully understand that. So I would like you guys both to explain what is hash power, what is blockchain. And I think the most important question, like Dustin asked me today, is like, okay, Chris, I hear this is hot. I get it. But how does it make a difference for me and my family? How can I actually utilize this tool or whatever you want to talk about to make a difference in my life? So that's where we're going to go coming up. If you got questions for our guests, again, Tony Mangal, he's consulting people on crypto, and Hugh Benjamin doing much of the same and also mining crypto as well, which is, I think, a whole nother beautiful world to explore. The number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. 1100. You listen to the Chris Berg Show, coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio.
Clouds will be decreasing throughout the evening hours with north winds around 10 to 20 gusting to 30, producing wind chill values below zero. Into the overnight hours, we'll have clear conditions and temperatures will drop down to a low of 6 with winds lightening up out of the northwest around 5 to 15. The winds turn to the southeast on Thursday. It'll be mostly sunny with 5 to 15 mile per hour winds, a high of 24 and then mid 30s on Friday. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
Welcome to Soybean Minute, your source for timely soybean news.
I'm North Dakota Soybean Council Director Jennifer Meyer of Wilton. The North Dakota Soybean Council will be seeking nominations for county and district representatives in Richland, Barnes, Grand Forks, Trail, Eddy, Foster, and Wells counties. If you are a soybean farmer and live in one of these counties, you will receive a nomination form in the mail in December. If you have a passion for the soybean industry, a commitment to serve, and want to be a part of a progressive, strategic, and collaborative commodity board, consider nominating yourself or a fellow soybean producer in your county. Serving on the council board will enable you to influence how checkoff dollars are invested, shape the future of our commodity, increase your industry knowledge, and expand your network in the soybean industry. For more information about our county and district nomination and election process, visit ndsoybean.org.
This message is brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council and the Soybean Checkoff.
Pouring concrete in the winter comes with many unique challenges. Fortunately, Prairie Supply has the equipment and knowledge to keep your job site on track. With year-round delivery and service from 5 convenient locations across the state, it's never been easier to contact Prairie Supply, Inc. for temporary job site heat, curing blankets, and ground heating units for winter weather construction. Prairie Supply, Inc., the contractor's headquarters.
The generous Jerry from Gold Silver Exchange Grand Forks is with us to talk about precious metals. In times of trouble, people turn to precious metals. Jerry, why is that?
Well, gold and silver historically have always been real money. And one of the problems we're going to be facing in the future here is with all this $6 trillion that the government has put into the economy, it's going to create inflation. And gold and silver are a very great insurance program against inflation because during inflationary times, they hold value, whereas your dollars that you have in your pocket lose value. So it takes more dollars to buy the same amount of product that you're buying today. So we highly recommend now is a good time to be investing in precious metals.
Call Jerry, 701-746-9950. Stop and see him at 2124 Gateway Drive, Grand Forks.
Give thanks for all you have done, and I will sing of your mercy and your love. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. I give thanks.
Happy early Thanksgiving. Many of you probably on the road right now, heading down to see some family and enjoy just some fantastic food and football tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining us here today on the Chris Berg Show, coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio. If you're heading out of town, just stop into your local PetroServe USA, grab some gas, and of course, some goodies for the road. I want to remind you how you can help us help you. Help me help you with the Chris Berg Show tip line. If you've got in any way, shape, or form, you feel like you've been wronged, you want us to go to work for you, to look into something for you, let us know. It's very easy to do. You just call 855-200-1776, extension 6. So again, 855-200-1776, extension 6, or just email us. This is probably even easier. Tips, Tips, tips at flagfamily.com. We've been talking about inflation. You know, your turkey's up. I mean, my cousin told me her grocery bill, typically a couple $100. It was like $350 this year because of inflation. So we thought, let's talk about crypto. Everybody's talking about crypto right now. But I think the big question is, okay, everybody's talking about crypto. And in the break here, Tony said, I think it's important, Chris, we really help people understand. So why should they care? Like everybody might be talking about it, but why does it matter to you and your family? So we're going to bring Hugh Benjamin back in as well. Again, he's doing Bitcoin mining. He's actually mining it. So Hugh, from your perspective, you said you've been doing this now for like 16 months, but for the average person like myself, not really versed in crypto, why should I care about crypto?
Yeah, so it's funny. Just during your commercial break, when I was hearing about the precious metals and the gold, on that commercial, they were talking about how much currency has been printed, and that is something that we continually print. I think there's been more money printed in the last 5 years than in the history of our economy.
Let me
and I
just
don't know
say,
that that's
40%. Sorry to interrupt you, but 40% of U.S. dollars in circulation were printed in the last year.
There you go.
Hugh, take it away. I mean, that is a staggering number.
Right. And so when you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin, and I'm new in the space, I'm just getting into this right now, but Bitcoin is like the gold standard value of cryptocurrency. When you look at what's happened to Bitcoin dollar cost averaging year over year since 2010, it's been the top best performing asset that's really existed. Back in 2018, it surpassed American Express, Visa, Discover. I before I even started this, I got advice from my financial advisor. I said, "What do you think about me mining Bitcoin?" He said, "I think that's a great idea." He said, "Last year, China did more transactions in cryptocurrency than all the credit cards combined, and I think it's a good idea." And I was shocked when he said that to me, and got started with Bitcoin mining last year. Right around May, it was probably May, June, July time. Bitcoin was probably 9 or 10K, and a friend of mine, we were talking. We both got some Bitcoin mining machines with this company that kind of has a plug and play system. You don't have to own your own data center. And they said, "What if Bitcoin hits 20K?" And we were laughing to each other. We're like, "Do you think it's ever going to hit 20K? That is crazy that it would even hit 20K." And I remember waking up on Christmas, the 25th of December, and it surpassed 25K. And then literally a couple weeks after that, it went up to almost 64K. And in my opinion, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency can move faster than the speed of human emotion. So if you don't believe it, just like go to sleep and wake up one day and you go, "Oh my gosh, Bitcoin just went up 7K. How did that happen?" And so
Now,
it's completely blown my mind, right?
so again, just to remind everybody, this is not any investment advice. I want to be
No
crystal clear on
investment.
that. Yeah, no investment advice at all. This is just a way to maybe look at our monetary system a little bit differently. Hugh, one thing I want you to touch upon, because again, I think some people might hear Bitcoin mining like, and you just made a really good point about a plug and play system. So what does that mean exactly? And then I guess the thing that has really intrigued me about what you're doing is it's mining Bitcoin while you're sleeping. Essentially, it's like your own little Bitcoin bank, whether you wake up or not. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, so there's a lot of systems out there. Like I work with a company where I can basically purchase equipment, and what happens is they set it up in their data center. I just came back from there a couple weeks ago. It was in Whitefish, Montana, powered by hydropower. The other data center that the company has is natural gas, and so really all I had to do was buy this mining equipment, select a hosting package, which includes all the maintenance and all the energy and everything, all the headaches kind of go with that, because I didn't want like another job. Like I run my own digital marketing agency. The last thing I am as a geek, I wouldn't want to be sitting in my garage with machines. And pretty much it was as easy as going to Amazon and ordering like a product, and then within 2 to 4 weeks I was up and running, mining daily deposits of Bitcoin. And I got to tell you, like during the pandemic, I mean, I didn't think that COVID was going to impact me. I do online marketing, and little did I know, 3 to 4 weeks after they started having some of the office shutdowns, I got people calling me, shutting down their advertising, and this just starts taking off. Once some of my friends found out that I was growing Bitcoin every day, it spread like lightning. I had people calling me. I was like, wait, who are you? And they're like, oh, I know you through your brother. And I was like, oh, yeah. And they would order, these machines. And I said, wow, there is a market here. And I started thinking about just even my own business. Like, we all trade time for money. And we find ourselves in this situation, whether we have a job or a business or a company, where we need a customer or we need to go get money or trade time for money. And after the shutdowns, and I lost a huge amount of revenue in my own company, having an office in Santa Monica, just getting a bigger office, hiring more people, I'm sitting there staring at the wall going, what do I do? How do I have money work for me? And all of a sudden now this Bitcoin mining takes off. And now I'm generating Bitcoin every day, whether I get up out of bed or not, because the machines are doing the work for me. Now, for people out there that don't understand Bitcoin, and you're like, how is it possible that you can generate this off of a blockchain or solve these equations? Folks, this has been happening for ages in the bank. It's called a centralized system. And they make, probably about 5% on all your transactions, equates to about $250 billion every single day. And when you hold up your phone that's got your bank statement on here, it's a digital ledger, right? And they're keeping calculations, they're computing the balance statements, and they're making all this money on the money that we have in that place that we call the bank, right? And so it's been happening. We just haven't been getting a piece of it. Now with the decentralized system with blockchain, as a Bitcoin miner, you are that network. So you're required to actually compute those equations on what we call the blockchain. And now we get rewards for being part of that network. And so it's been, amazing for me, having Bitcoin come in every day, watch it actually grow. Again, this is not financial advice, but I mean, there's platforms right now where I take my Bitcoin and I put it on a platform like a Celsius or a BlockFi or maybe a Nexo, and I'm making 3 to 6%, compounding APY without even thinking or using my brain. It's just sitting in, a third-party account, and I'm making money on my money, right? So it just made sense to me, and it really just opened up my brain to, like, it's almost like Alice in Wonderland. Once you kind of dip your foot in the pool and you start to experience Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you start to see other avenues of ways that you could actually have money work for you or generate money like this. And it's been such a huge educational process for me. I feel like a kid in a candy store. It's exciting. It's changed my view on money and life. And I'm excited about it. So I'll hand it back over to you.
And we haven't even started on NFTs. We'll get to that another time. But so if anyone has any questions or you want to get in contact with Hugh, just go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. Hit me up in the messages and I'll forward your information on to Hugh and you can visit with him. But again, facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. And I can connect you with you if you've got any questions and or comments. Tony, you were the one that said, hey, Chris, I think it's important we come back. We just sort of lay it out. And Hugh hit on a lot of things here. But in your point of view, why should the person listening right now care about crypto?
Well, I think the best way to understand crypto is to understand what it stands in opposition to. And I'm glad you've all been mentioning inflation and things like that. It sounds like your audience has talked, or you've talked to them about the coming off the gold standard, and that's been a topic you've come up against. So I think the best way to understand Bitcoin is, let's go back to 2008 during the great financial crisis. Bitcoin was a direct answer to that. And as if you recall, 2008 unfolded in a way where the bankers all got money. They printed money overnight, handed it to them, inflated against the rest of our savings, or against the rest of the value we've tried to store in money. They just took it and they gave it to the bankers, and they left the rest of us holding the bag. And that's what they keep doing over and over and over. Every time they need a new war, a new aircraft carrier, a new bridge to nowhere, a pointless program, they just print the money. They don't raise enough money in taxes to ever pay for anything they want to do. And we are so hopelessly over our skis on the debt that collapse is baked into the cake. So if you're holding assets in US dollars, you need to pay very close attention. And you don't have to get into crypto, but you do got to get out of the US dollar. I like to say Bitcoin, bullion, bullets, and butt wipe. That'll get you ready for pretty much anything. So crypto it can't be inflated against. It can't be manipulated by central bankers. It can't be controlled by government. And if we want it, it can't be taxed. So what that allows you to do is if you work 8 hours a day, you, like Hugh mentioned, you trade your time for money. You can take that time, you've created value with that time that you traded. You can store that value in an immutable blockchain, a proof of ownership, a proof of the value you created in the world that no one can take from you, and you control it. And he also mentioned how you can go to Celsius, get 4 or 5%. You know, back when in the 80s or so, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, you could get 10% on a bank deposit, just on US dollars. And the bank would take that. They're giving you 10%. They're making 20, 30 on the back end and taking the spread. Well, crypto allows you to be the bank. You get to be the bank. You can deposit in Celsius and get 6%, but they're taking it and making 14, 50, 30, 40, 100% on the other side. So you can do that yourself. And it doesn't take a lot of research either. And the other part that I really love about it is oftentimes in life when something seems too good to be true, it often is. But that's only true half of the time in crypto. I mean, sometimes it just blows your mind how frictionless and powerful the whole system is. It does take a little bit of research, but fundamentally, the concept is very simple. It's store of value that no one can control, and you get to be your own bank.
Gentlemen, we got a great question that came in. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want you guys both, in a limited amount of time we're going to have it, to answer this question. So super producer Chris Larson says, okay, I'm a beginner to crypto. What should I do? Like, what should a beginner in crypto do, whether to educate themselves, start to use it, whatever that might be? So when we come back, I want you guys just to give us a brief sort of idea of, hey, first step is X. And again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about crypto today because it's everywhere and it's a huge opportunity here in the great state of North Dakota. So we've got a couple of very special guests that are consulting, helping people better understand it, and of course, make some money doing it, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Because one of the things I love about Tony said is that you control it. And this goes back to what we're talking about, folks, is that the premise of this show is faith and freedom. Like, those are the pillars. And if there's a way for you to have more freedom in your financial life because of a opportunity, again, no investment advice, but just an opportunity that you want to explore, I think that's a beautiful thing. All right, stay with us. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up with, hey, if you're a beginner to crypto, what do you do? Or a couple of special guests will answer that right after this.
Shields is grateful for our customers, communities, and fellow associates. On Thanksgiving Day, we encourage time with loved ones by closing our doors. And on this day, we open our hearts and bow our heads to pray and give thanks. With grateful hearts, we praise God for family and friends, for health and freedom, and for the rich blessings that we enjoy every day. Amen. Have a blessed Thanksgiving from all of us at Shields.
In Minnesota, we work hard and we play hard. Not everyone has the time to follow important debates about healthcare, taxes, and our kids' education. But people we don't know are making decisions for us every single day. That's where Center of the American Experiment comes in. We research the tough issues facing Minnesota to find common sense solutions and give you a voice. Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's think tank, and we're working hard to make Minnesota better for you.
President Trump's next big rally is going to be epic. It's going to happen soon. And Newsmax is the only major cable news channel to air it live. That's right. Hey, it's Scott Hannon from my friends at Newsmax. Now you know why I love them. Get from Newsmax the info on Trump's rally and his big announcements. Text the word ZONE to 39747. ZONE to 39747. And get Trump news, too. You bypass the big media. You get the real news from Newsmax. So just join that Trump list today. Zone to 39747. And make sure you tune into Newsmax, now America's 4th largest cable news channel. Find it on all major systems. If your cable system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them and let them know you can switch. And it's free. Newsmax.com, Newsmax TV. And don't forget the app. Get the news you can really trust from Newsmax. Text ZONE to 39747.
Hi, this is Kevin Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer's Auction Company. Pfeiffer's upcoming auctions include 3,800 acres of exceptional cropland in Foster and Stutzman counties, 98 acres of highly productive cropland in Pembina County, 480 acres in Montreal County, and 160 acres in McLean County. And farm equipment retirement auctions in Steele and Bowman, North Dakota, and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. View these auctions and many more land and equipment auctions at Pfeiffer's.com.
Are you ready for winter? At Burgraff's Ace Hardware, they know winter can be a mental grind, so they make sure to have everything you need to be ready for the season. They're fully stocked with snow shovels, ice melts, and Ariens and Ego snow blowers. And when it comes to Christmas, they have you covered with unlimited gift ideas. And the best part is there's a Burgraff's Ace close to you, with locations in Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead, Grand Forks, and Boston. Burgraff's Ace Hardware, the helpful place.
Hey, we're heading to the holiday season where all of us are going to overeat, maybe have a couple too many cocktails. So we want to talk about what can you do to enjoy your food and still enjoy wellness. There's a great local company, North Dakota company right now called CheckableWellness.com. They've got some phenomenal products there. They've got the apple cider vinegar gummies. You take those to help you digest all the extra food you eat, but just go to CheckableWellness.com. Again, CheckableWellness.com, and they will have an opportunity there to you can go eat and still feel great. And right now, for a limited time, when you go to CheckableWellness.com, just put in the promo code ChrisBerg25. Again, ChrisBerg25. Here's the great news. That's going to give you 25% off your first order. Again, CheckableWellness.com, ChrisBerg25. Get 25% off today. Break free. I don't know what producer D Money's doing there, but I'm going to say break free from a fiat currency. Now I'm even making rhymes. How beautiful is that? So quickly, gentlemen, we've got about 3 minutes here. So I think it's a great question from super producer Chris Larson. And Hugh, I'm going to go to you first. It says, hey, so what should a beginner in crypto do? Hugh Benjamin, he mines Bitcoin. He's joining us today. Hugh, in 60 seconds, what would you say, sir?
I would say, I tried a platform called Swan just as an experiment because I'm kind of testing new platforms. But what I did was I set up an account to basically purchase dollar cost averaging every week without even thinking about it. And over 30 weeks, by just acquiring about $100 a week, over 30 weeks, I ended up appreciating my Bitcoin about 43%. I would say someone's got to buy some and kind of get into the game, and just buy a little bit every week. You don't have to be a baller. Just get started somewhere, right? And start getting your head around this and start reading some of the publications on blockchain. Maybe read the white paper on Bitcoin as well. So that would be my advice for the new person.
Thank you, Tony. I apologize. We've got Leon. Do you know Leon?
Yep.
Leon's on the line, so I just want to get him in quickly. Leon, we got a limited amount of time, and maybe we can do a little Chris Berg show overtime if we need to. But Leon, on line one, what's on your mind, my friend?
What's on my mind is Ethereum. So I started out with a homemade rig, and I moved on to I got 3 Antminers, the L3s, and I'm up to about 7 coins.
Wow!
But I heard a rumor. Yeah, but I've been doing it for 3 years almost. But I heard a rumor that you're no longer going to be able to mine Ethereum. By the person I heard it from said in about a year. How much truth is it to that? And how much stock do you put in Dogecoin and other cryptocurrencies outside of Bit and Ethereum?
Great question. Tony, we'll go to you, sir.
That's correct. You're not going to be able to mine Ethereum anymore. It's moving to a different consensus algorithm called proof of stake, meaning I'm not sure how much time we have to get into this, but Bitcoin is mined on a proof of work algorithm, meaning you can prove that your computer did the work on this equation to solve the equation and produce Bitcoin for you. So Bitcoin is produced when you combine electricity and computing cycles to produce Bitcoin. That used to be how they made Ethereum as well, but Ethereum, in order to create more transactions per second, Instead of having a mining situation, they can go to a proof of stake situation, whereby if you're one of the node operators that runs the network, in order to prove that you've got skin in the game, you have to stake 32 Ethereum onto your node for 1 year, 10 years, however long you put it up there. But as long as you are financially invested in the Ethereum network, now you get to be a part of one of the edge nodes running it.
We need to talk more about that because I want to get in on that because I think Ethereum is the place where things are going to go nuts, folks. Ethereum, if you don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but there, the beautiful thing is obviously you can mine it, you can have it, but also that's going to be the platform. They're going to be putting NFTs. It's going to have some other utility as well. Leon, thanks so much for the phone call. Again, to everybody. And Hugh, thanks so much for joining us. Tony, thanks so much for being here. I mean, just a phenomenal conversation. Please share these Facebook and YouTube and these videos with family and friends to help them better understand what's going on with crypto. Again, if you've got any questions or you want to connect with Hugh and or Tony, very easy to do. Just go to facebook.com/Chris Berg Show or any of our social media platforms, but facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. Message me. I'll get you in contact with them. I'm on Twitter at Chris Berg POV, Instagram at Chris Berg Real. So just hit me up. I'll put you in contact with these guys if you want to find out more about the cryptocurrency. All right. Thanks so much for joining us here. Have a phenomenal holiday. I'm going to take a couple days off myself. We'll be back in the chair live on Monday because who knows? I might be mining some crypto over the weekend. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy that fantastic food and football. I love you. This is the Chris Berg Show.